Hello everyone, welcome to a Protection Paladin video commentary of a plus 22 Mists of Tirna Scithe. Since the routing of this dungeon is purely RNG, I'll spend more time talking about CD rotations and ways you can make this dungeon go by faster. This dungeon is relatively easy compared to, let's say, Sanguine Depths, but you still shouldn't underestimate it due to its pretty tight timer and hard-hitting adds. Let's get this started. The first pull involves 2 packs of Spike Claws with the villager group. I use Consecration first to grab initial aggro, and then Arcane Torrent to dispel the Spike Claws. From there, I pull the villager pack. I call for Treants once the adds are gathered, and have the Boomkin also use Vortex to keep the Spike Claws from jumping and doing AoE damage. You can also probably solo kick the Harvester in this pack and call for backup when needed. We didn't use Lust here since we guarantee a 1 phase on the first boss. After using my initial set of defensives, I begin kiting to keep the Soul Cleavers from healing themselves. We then move past the Bow Breaker pack to pull the group of Harvesters and Soul Cleavers. Make sure to rotate kicks on the Harvesters since they have the potential to wipe the group. And kite the Soul Cleavers during Soul Cleave so they don't keep healing. I ended up using more defensives here than I wanted to due to the lack of kiting space. But I eventually made the call for a Night Fae class to open the gate so I can kite more efficiently. It's also up to your group if you want to grab the mushroom buffs after or before this pack. Our Boomkin accidentally pounced right into the group of adds, so we had to deal with them immediately. Dealing with these pair of bow breakers is all about maintaining mitigation uptime. Even with constant movement due to their Bramble Burst ability, try to maintain Shield of the Righteous up and stay in your Consecration close to 100% of the time. These adds hurt, so any mitigation towards yourself will save your healer from stressing out. The general approach towards this pair is to bring both down to 50% HP and have the ranged and healer outrange the Furious Trashing ability. I try to save Treants just for that, so I can also run and outrange the ability if needed. Also notes that you can use Blessing of Protection on a party member to render them immune from the Furious Trash. This pull will spawn Pride, so prepare some cooldowns if need be. After killing the Pride spawn, we focus the Droman first to bring it down to 20% so we can get to the burn phase. You can kick the majority of the Spirit Bolt casts as a Prot Pally, but don't be afraid to call for backup. Kicking the casts are important so you prevent unnecessary damage, which then allows the healer to DPS more. We also use Lust around 40 seconds of Pride. Doing so will allow us to get to the burn phase with both the Pride and Lust buff running. When the boss regains control of himself at below 20% HP, it's safe to assume to keep focusing the boss and burn him down. Before you worry about the adds for the next pull, mark the boss so you can track where the next 2 maze doors will be. You also save about a minute of your time if you have a class in your group that can pull the adds beyond the wall here. It could be the difference to timing a high key. A Boomkin or any class with a pet can pull the group of adds on the right. If any of these respective players do not know how to pull the adds beyond the wall, I suggest trying to practice pulling them on an M0. You lose so much of your precious timer when you just pull these 2 adds. It's generally the healer or the range's responsibility to solve the maze puzzles, but there is also a simpler way. There is a weak aura that tells you exactly where the next door will be. I'll be linking it in the description. Also take note of these abilities that could be lethal to your party members. The Mistveil Stalker has an ability called Mistveil Bite, where it's usually ignored until high-level fortified keys where it could one-shot an unsuspecting party member. Just make sure to CC it during its cast. The Mistveil Defender also has a couple abilities you should look out for. One of them is Spear Flurry, where you just have to move out of its Pantheon-esque frontal. The other ability is Protector's Rage. It's a stackable debuff that increases the add's damage by 50% per stack. A stack is gained after each add dies. Just make sure to soothe the defender before the stacks get unbearably high. You then have the Mistveil Guardian's Bucking Rampage. You'll know it's about to be cast when you see a circle on the ground. All you have to do is use a CC before it casts, so you completely cancel it. Finally, you have the Mist Veil Tender and the Mist Veil Shaper. All you have to do is interrupt their casts with a kick so that they don't go off. There are 2 mini bosses you can encounter in the maze area. The Mist Veil Matriarch is shown here, or the Mist Veil Gorge Gullet. If you get the dragon, make sure to move it out of the pool it casts so you don't heal the ad. Also note that any party member can be healed by standing in the dragon's pool. It could prove especially helpful if Pride spawns after this mini boss. Just make sure to avoid placing the Pride in the pool as well, it'll heal it too. The Matriarch's Shred Armor ability also hurts, so make sure you maintain Shield of the Righteous up and stand in your consecration for its cast. You might have to use a defensive or 2 to mitigate the damage. If you get the frog, just make sure you outrange its tongue lash ability and keep your party members from being in front of it as well. If you get lucky, sometimes you'll get the maze door that leads you to 2 packs of ads. This will allow you to perform a double pull and save a lot of time. If you get this room, tell your group to hold DPS until you have gathered both packs. It's best that they are patient here, since it'll be less chaotic for your group if you grab control of all the ads before they DPS. There are a lot of mechanics to look out for when you double pull. Make sure to call kicks and CCs accordingly. The second boss is pretty straightforward. Interrupt Patty Cake, kill the correct ad during guessing game, and avoid the Vulpin spawn. You can try to skip the last phase if you have more than 1 major DPS CD at around 12% HP. It might be harder to pull off on high keys, but if you have a coordinated group, it might be worth it to practice. You save about a minute for every guessing game you skip. After the second boss, you can backtrack towards the maze and exit out of another door if you want to save a few seconds of time. This will let you skip the 3 ads right after the boss is killed without any form of CC, granted you have a class that has slow fall. It will also keep you from having to wait for the RP and fly straight down into a double pull. We didn't perform an RP skip for this run however. Our mob percentage was lining up perfectly if we pursued a linear path from this point out. Coordinating big pulls after the second boss and adjusting to your pride spawns will be imperative to timing the key. Personally, I have the following memorized so I can make better informed decisions on pulls following the second boss. The first 3 ads we pulled here will net you 5% count, and any pair of flying reavers will add 3%. As for the double pulls in this area, you net an approximate total of 11% trash count. Just knowing these few rough estimates has allowed me to make quick decisions and save a key from being depleted numerous times. I always have a habit of letting my party members know to hold DPS and heals when I gather large packs of ads together. The potency of everyone's DPS will be better when ads are grouped tightly. When you want to avoid the reavers that patrol around this area, know that you can CC them with a root or hibernate them with the druid. And make sure to rotate kicks on the staghorns accordingly. You don't want those casts to be going off. As a side note, I desperately wanted to do a triple pull here since we only had 1 staghorn, but the healer didn't believe I'd have enough mitigation to live through it. I may have done it on a 23 since the timer is pretty tight, but man, Looking back at this again makes me a little sad. Depending on timing and a bit of coordination, you can skip both the 80% and 100% pride. You'll of course need to head straight to the boss and backtrack to finish percentage after it's killed. We decided to deal with all the prides since the timer wasn't much of a problem. This last boss is also pretty straightforward. Make sure to kick on Consume and Parasite, then move away from the AoE ground effects. This boss takes 2 minutes and about 45 seconds on average, so use that information to calculate pull timings if you still need to continue with trash after the boss is dead. As always, thank you guys for watching. Comment to let me know what you think, and like and subscribe to show support. I'm always willing to answer any questions, so reach me in the comment section or live on my Twitch channel. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.